Hello Year 3s, Miss Rebella here. Welcome to your first week of a summer catch-up school. This is your English 1, your vocabulary lesson. Today we're going to be learning some new vocabulary and we are going to use it in context as well as we're going to be mapping the story. Our success criteria for this, we're going to understand the new vocabulary, we're going to use new vocabulary in context, and we're going to map and annotate the story. So stop everything that you're doing and make sure that you did your reading lesson first. We are retelling Desmond and the Very Mean Word. This is your reading session for today and we're going to be retelling this specific part of the story. So if you haven't done your reading yet, you have to stop this video, go back and do that first. But if you did, then you're ready to come and learn some exciting vocabulary that is going to make your writing a lot more engaging. So let's have a look at the 8 words that we have to learn this week. My turn. Awakened. Your turn. Good. My turn. Emerged. Your turn. Excellent. My turn. Terracotta. Your turn. Good. My turn. Delighted. Your turn. Next, contentment. Your turn. My turn. Terror. Your turn. My turn. Pounded. Your turn. My turn. Poured. Your turn. Excellent. Now have a very good look at those pictures. What do you think these words might mean by looking at them? Look, awaken. What can you see in this picture that give you a hint of what it might mean? Emerge. These pictures are supposed to represent what these words mean. So have a very good look and let's come and explore each one of them. Right, so let's have a look at the first one. Awaken. Whisper the word. Awaken means to stop sleeping. So that was done to you. So it's the passive voice of awake. The roads were awakened by the first rays of sunshine. That's figurative language to say that the sun is shining, the sun is coming up, and the roads are awakened. They can't really. This is called personification, but this is a good way of using this word. Other words for awaken could include rise or awake. It depends how you're going to use this in your sentence. Let's have a look at the next word. Emerged. Shout the word. Nice. Emerge means to move out or become visible. As you can see in the picture, someone is emerging from the house. They're coming out from the house. They are becoming visible. A shiny black bicycle emerged on the dusty roads. So all of a sudden a shiny black bicycle appeared, moved out, became visible on the roads. Other words that you can use instead of emerge could be come out, appear, materialize. That's a good one too. Make sure you make notes of this synonym so you can bring it to your to-do. Next word is terracotta. Whisper the word. Nice. Terracotta is a type of clay of brownish red color. Now it's very common that we use terracotta to decorate or to finish some house types. So we're using terracotta to describe a village where the houses are all brownish red in color. Let's see how it looks like in a sentence. The wooden heavy door flung open from the terracotta house. Other words for terracotta could be clay, brown. We're going to use this as an adjective to describe the houses that we have in the story. Next word. Delighted. Shout the word. Nice. Delighting means a feeling or showing great pleasure. Not only pleasure, Great pleasure. Look at the size of the smile. Can you give a smile this big? I hope you're delighted with your English lesson. I hope you're delighted to be part of Coloring Park, to be moving on to year 4 next year. Let's see what it looks like in this, to use delighted in a sentence. Desmond was delighted to show his brand new bike to Father Trevor. Other words that you can think of to use instead of delighted could be ecstatic, joyful, thrilled, overjoyed. So you can't use happy here because delighted means more than happy. Make sure you make notes of these synonyms so you can use on your to-do. Next word, contentment. Whisper the word. Contentment means a state of happiness and satisfaction. So when you're contented, you are more serene. Look at this face. Let's see what contentment would look like in a sentence. He found contentment in living a simple life in the country. So that means that he's at peace. He's enjoying that moment. Other words you could use for contentment could be fulfillment, satisfaction, and happiness. Happiness would work well in here. It's a more mild word. Next word. Terror. Shout the word. Good. I hope you were scared by that because terror means extreme fear. Let's have a look at what it looked like in a sentence. Terror took over him and engulfed his being, his whole self. Terror took over him. He was taken by extreme fear. Look at his face. Other words, synonyms that you can use for terror include dread, fright, and horror. Make sure you're making notes of these synonyms. They are going to come very handy. Let's do this one. Pounded. Whisper the word. Pounded means a strike or hit heavily and repeatedly. Something that goes boom, 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 boom. So just what you can see here in this picture, a heart. You can have a pounding heart. Pounded is the past tense of pound. He could feel his heart pounding inside of his chest. You can feel it hitting heavily against your rib cage. Other words you could use for pounding could be beat, punch, hit. So you could say he could feel his heart hitting his chest, inside of his chest. Yeah, hitting his rib cage. Next, poured. Shout the word. Poured means to flow rapidly in a steady stream. Let's have a look at what it looks like when used in a sentence. The tears poured out of his eyes like a waterfall. Nice. Tears pouring out. So that's interesting because that's exactly what the picture is showing us. So tears can pour out of your eyes when you're crying really, really hard. Water from the waterfalls are pouring. Water from an open tap are pouring. It's a flow that doesn't stop. You could use other words for pour, such as a stream, a flow, a cascade. So instead of poured your eyes out, you could say cascaded. So tears cascaded across your cheeks. Make sure you make notes of all the synonyms and all the words so you can carry on practicing your spellings. And we are done for the vocabulary. Now let's have a look at how to use them. To retell Desmond and the Very Mean Word, we are going to be looking at the first part of the story. To make our sentences create a picture, a very vivid picture in our reader's mind, we're going to be using two-way sentences. Now, if you remember, two-way sentences are sentences that make you use two adjectives before a noun. Now, there are just a few rules for this. You should be very good at using two-way sentences by now, but let's just revise what do we need to make a good two-way sentence. So to start with, the two-way sentence has two adjectives before a noun. Correct. Let's have a look at this sentence, for example. The glamorous intelligence princess kissed the grotesque warty frog. All of these red words, they are adjectives. Where is the noun? Thinking time. Good. The glamorous, intelligent princess. Princess is the noun for the first part of the sentence. Is there another noun in the sentence? Thinking time. Good. Frog is the other noun in this sentence. Grotesque, warty frog. Grotesque, warty are adjectives, and the final is the noun. So this is the type of sentence that can be used to create strong images in the reader's mind, because you're giving lots of adjectives. So throughout this week, we're going to be creating a bank of adjectives that you can use for to retell each part of the story. So let's have a look at why two-way sentences are better than regular sentences. It was morning. This is a sentence because it starts with a capital letter, it has a verb, it has a full stop. But it's not very interesting, is it? So by using a two-way sentence, we're going to add two adjectives to this noun. What is the noun? Good. The noun is morning. We need to add two adjectives separated by a comma in front of this noun to make it more exciting. Can you think of any options? Interesting options. Now have a look at what I did. I just added two adjectives. I added nice and fresh to my noun, morning. It was a nice fresh morning. So right now I can't only see that what time of the day it is in my story, but I also know what it feels like. So I'm bringing my reader into what I'm writing. Can you try another one? The door flung open. That means that the door just opened really quickly. It is a sentence. It starts with a capital letter, ends with a full stop. It has a verb. It tells me what something happened. But it's not very interesting. Can you spot the noun? Well done. The noun here is door. Can you think of two adjectives to go with this door? Now think of doors that may appear in Desmond's story. What type of doors are we talking? Are we talking doors about castles, or are we talking about doors on terracotta houses? There you go, we're talking about doors in terracotta houses. So what type of doors do we have there? What are they made of? Metal or wood? Are they heavy, light, flimsy, strong, bold? Are they decorated? What can we put here? So here's an idea. I've used these two adjectives, wooden and heavy, for my noun, door. The wooden heavy door flung open. Now I know that to fling a door open that is that heavy, someone must have pushed it really enthusiastic, with a lot of vigor. So that's giving even more detail to my story. So that's becoming good. Shall we do a last one? There you go. Let's put this aside. Let's have a look at this one. He was delighted to take his bike to Father Trevor. It's a nice sentence. It starts with a capital letter, ends with a full stop. It's talking about his feelings. It has verbs. But what noun in this sentence does not have any adjectives? There you go. Your bike, which is a key feature of the story, doesn't have any adjectives. How can I describe the bike? Desmond's bike. It was new, well done. Black, well done. What is it made of? Metal? Iron? Okay, so we can say it's a strong metal bike. Shiny black bike. I'm gonna go with his shiny, black bike to Father Trevor. Now, I have my two adjectives to my noun. Well done, good job. This is a two-way sentence. Can you see how it makes it more interesting? I'm not talking about any bike. I'm talking about a shiny black bike. A new black bike. Yes? Brilliant. What is also going to be very important and useful when we retell a story, we're going to be using something called figurative language. And figurative language is basically when you say something in a slightly different way. There are many ways of portraying a place, a person, or emotions, but it's always we always have devices to make it look more vivid. So here are some features of figurative language. We have similes, we have metaphors and personification. I'll talk to you about personification. So personification is when you give a type, when you give an object a sense of being alive. So, for example, we were talking about our key vocabulary awaken, and in our sentence we said the roads were awakened. Now, roads are things. Roads don't even go to sleep. But if I say that if I wake the roads up, I'm giving them a sense of them being human. Right? There you go. Personification. Your turn. Fabulous. Let's leave personification here for the 1 minute. And let's have a look at metaphors. Now, metaphors are also another feature of figurative language that helps you describe something and make your text more exciting. When you're using a metaphor, you describe something by saying it is something else. So, for example, you could say that love is a battlefield. Or you could say that his heart was cold. His heart was ice. So you don't compare it to anything, but you say it is something else. Let's leave metaphors here to the side for a minute, and let's have a look at similes. Your turn. Now, similes are the great feature of figurative language that we're going to be focusing on this week. So, here we are. So, similes are that type of figurative language that we are going to use comparative language. So, similes compare the likeness of two things, and it uses the word like or as. So I can say as strong as an ox, or as brave as a lion, or like a lion, he roared his way out of the herd. Simile. Let's have a look at some examples and how can we use those similes. So let me put the simile over here. Let's see. The dust moved like. Now, to make this into a nice simile, I want to make sure that I'm going to use the word like. The dust moved like. Now I'm thinking of the roads. I'm thinking of the roads and the dust. So you've seen the picture of Desmond and the very mean word. So you know that it's a very arid, it's a very dry place. The dust moved like what? What moves really quickly? What is very small, moves quickly, randomly in all directions, that moves, dust move like, it could move like the wind, like, or even better, butterflies in the wind. How about that? Remember, if you like any of those ideas, write them down on your notebook so you can take and use them on your own writing later on. Shall we look at another example for a simile? You go. He pedaled his bike like... Now we're talking about... Ooh, sorry about that, guys. He pedaled his bike like... Like what? We are comparing someone pedaling a bike as fast as something. Oh, we could use like or as fast as. He pedaled his bike like a machine. Yes, he's not a machine, but I can compare him to a machine to say that he pedaled his bike really quickly. That's going to come in handy when he's running from the boys, right? He pedaled his bike like a machine. Like, you can use like a machine, comma, he pedaled his bike, and make a like a sentence, which is also a simile. If you like that sentence, make sure you make a note of that. Shall we have a look at one more? His heart pounded like, Now, he's scared, do you remember that? He's scared, he saw the boys. What if they take his bike? Let's compare what his heart is pounding like. Remember, This is the sound of a heart pounding inside of his chest. It's really fast, and it kind of hurts because it's so strong. So he heart pounded like a hammer inside of his chest. Let's have a look. Oops. Make sure it fits here so you can read it. There you go. His heart pounded like a hammer inside of his chest. Now, if you like any of those similes, make sure you make notes of that. And remember, similes are going to be the main figurative language we're going to be using this week. All right. So let's brainstorm our plan. Let's map this story and then let's annotate it. Okay, let's see what key vocabulary, useful words, sentence types are going to be useful. So we are going to retell the beginning of the story. We are going to separate it in 3 different steps. So from what we read today, we know that the story begins in the morning. So what we're going to start by talking about the morning here. So this is going to be our day 1. Okay. So what is the morning like? We are going to be working on a setting description there. What was the morning like? What colors do you see in the sky? What colors do you see on the roads? We're going to be using lots of our 5 senses. What can you hear early in the morning? It was quiet, remember? There was no one out. It was very early. And what does the houses look like on this sunrise? What does the road looks like, sounds like, feels like, smells like? So here's some words that might help us bring this part of the text or bring the setting description to life. We could call it fresh, dusty, quiet. We could talk about the terracotta houses. Let's have a look at one sentence type that might help us do that. A shiny black bike emerged into the red dirt road. What type of sentence is that? Oh, done. It is a 2-way sentence. Look. 2 adjectives, a noun. So we're going to be using 2-way sentences throughout, also figurative language. So the first step of our story, we're going to be doing the setting description. It was morning in the village. Next. What comes after? Well, then we have a description of Desmond. Desmond riding his bike. Desmond is riding a new bike in there. So that's going to be our second step of the story. What words do you think are going to be useful to describe Desmond, his bike? There you go. His feelings. Good. So let's talk about how he's feeling when he's riding his bike. At first, he's delighted. Remember, delighted is a lot more than happy. Synonyms for that were ecstatic, yes, and things that are much more powerful than just happy. But at some point, he talks about contentment because he can just feel the breeze against his cheeks. So it's a mix of these 2 very, very positive feelings that we're going to be talking about. Overjoyed, thrilled. All of these words are going to come very handy to describe how he's feeling. But remember, at this point, you must also remember to describe the bike and Desmond himself. What does he look like? Yeah, what is he wearing? What's the size of the smile in his face? There you go. Let's just maybe create one sentence to see what it might look like in this part. It was the first time he held the bike, the handlebars of the bike, and he was as delighted as a baby trying his first steps. What sentence type is that? We could make it into a 2-way sentence by adding 2 adjectives to the bike, right? But this is figurative language over here. Very good. Well done, because we are using as. Delighted as a baby. So I'm comparing his feelings to someone else's feelings, a baby trying his first steps. And we know that that's delightful. Now, the next step of the story, when we move on to this part, then there is a sudden change to the feelings and to the ambience. So look over here. There he goes, and he spots the boys. Remember his face? What is he feeling now? So as he spots the boys, he passed the boys, he doesn't dare stop. The boys shout a very mean word, and they also laugh. So let's have a look at what words are going to be useful for us to describe this part of the story. Terror. Great fear, remember? When he spots the boys, he might be terrified. Great fear. He might be feeling his heart pounding. His heart pounded. His tears poured out of his eyes. Yes, because he was not only scared, he then got very, very upset by the mean word. Let's have a look at an example of a sentence in here. Here it is. Heavy, clear tears poured out of his dark brown eyes as he reached Father Trevor's office. What type of sentence is that? Well done, it is a two-way sentence. Heavy, clear tears poured out of his dark brown eyes. Dark brown eyes. Your nouns, you have two nouns here. Tears and eyes. And extra points for your key vocabulary. It poured out of his eyes. Also, you had key vocabulary here. Delighted and emerged. Right over there. Brilliant. So this is going to be a plan that we're going to revisit throughout the week, so we know what we're writing and what is going to be useful to write. Make sure you make notes of the sentences that you like, that you think are going to be useful, and you have a list of synonyms of words that you are going to be using on your to-do. This is what your to-do looks like today. So in your to-do today, what we have is I'm looking for my red pen, but that's fine. I'm going to use this one. What we have is a storyboard, because this is a planning sheet. So these are the steps of the story. So it is the morning. Desmond is happy, delighted with his bike, and then the boys that he encounters shout him a mean word. So these are the steps of the story that we're going to be retelling. Over here on the left hand side, you have the list of the key vocabulary. Okay, and on the right hand side you have a checklist of what you need to include. I have mapped the steps of the story. It's mapped for you. I have used two-way sentences, figurative language, and I have checked my sentences, which means you make sure that you read it after you wrote, and all of them have capital letters, full stops, they have a verb, and they make sense. Now in each box over here you will find a quick guidance about what you should write. So for example, the first one, we're talking about early morning. Desmond sets off. So we are talking about the time of the day and the setting description. I like you to have at least a two-way sentence and a sentence using figurative language for each step. On the second step, you're going to be talking about what is Desmond like. You're describing Desmond. And also I like you to include two-way sentences and figurative language. And finally, the third part of the story, we're going to be talking about how does he feel after the boys shout at him. And again, include the two-way sentences and figurative language, so you can practice the sentence types and structures that we're going to be using throughout the week. Have fun doing that. That's the best part, and I'll see you again tomorrow.